Newsradio 1070 WKOK presents On the Mark. It's a chance to voice your opinion on the events that affect life in the Susquehanna Valley. Call 1-800-795-9565 or email onthemark@wkok.com. Now, here are your hosts for On the Mark, Mark Lawrence and Ben Reichley.
Greetings and welcome on board the WKOK Live Telephone Talk Show. It is entitled On the Mark. I'm Mark Lawrence. Very last day of August on the On the Mark program before we shut the OTM computer down for 3 days. We'll have a best of On the Mark on Monday, Labor Day, and then we will have a new program on Tuesday. We'll actually have a couple of guests in Tuesday. Should be very exciting. I'll tell you a little bit about that as the morning progresses. Well, good morning, everyone. I am Mark Lawrence, 29th day of August, host of the show, above average, strikingly handsome, registered Democrat, and always interested in hearing all sides of the story. I read a book a year and listen to about a dozen books a year. So always it's the slow-paced way. Although I have to tell you about this because it pops into my head. I found an app that when you're listening to a book tape, it plays it faster. It plays it at 1.5 speed or even faster if you want. So you don't have to wait for the slow pace of the author. So if you want the dramatic pauses that she intended or he intended, you don't have to wait those out. So good trivia for you there, listening to a book tape.
Obviously, you like the audio. So.
Yes. Yeah, I like audiobooks.
I will say this, though. I find holding the book and reading it, you're involved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're committed.
You're there.
Holding the book. Sometimes on the audio, you start. At least I'll start thinking
drift
about some other things.
Yeah, I can only do it in about 40-minute segments, and then I do a Kevin and start working on something else while I'm still doing the book. So yes, okay. So Mark Lawrence
for the third chapter.
Yes, and across from me, the voice you hear right now is Ben Reichley, local business person, landlord, and businessman, and Republican, and co-host, and American first, though.
Yep.
Right.
And a big weekend. A lot going on.
Okay.
A lot of celebrations.
Right, Renaissance Fair is in Sunbury tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, Sunbury Broadcasting, big night for Sunbury Broadcasting. The 4 football games, the new studio host. They bring in a local legend in the trophy. Mm-hmm. The trophy will be here.
Today at 6 p.m., the parking lot will be fuller here than it is right now. And that's with all the sales people occupying their little space of the universe here.
The trophy, Tony Barasconi will be hosting the Sunbury Broadcasting High School show, so it'll be very interesting. And of course, the games, and it feels like maybe more like September 28th, 29th, 30th, the end of September, more than it does this weekend, more than it does August.
Right, and then of course everybody gets to listen to the games on WKOK. We'll have the Shikellamy game. The Valley has the Lewisburg game, the Lewisburg perspective of the game. Sealands Grove will be on Eagle 107, and WMLP, our sister station, has the Milton Black Panthers on the show. So everybody's going to be out and about, and then tomorrow morning we'll be in Ireland for some football game overseas. So hopefully they won't run into too much volcanic issue when it comes time for the return trip. I hope they're flying out right after the game.
They are.
So they can get going while the getting's good.
Yeah, they're flying out right after the game. They will actually be back in State College late Saturday night.
Oh, isn't that funny? Well, that's interesting. So, yeah, the crossing timelines the other direction. They lost half the week going to there, so it'll be interesting that they'll be back.
I thought... No, I'm sorry, Mark. I thought it was interesting that the way they did it, and anybody, this isn't a sports thing. This is anybody who's flown before. They actually went on a red-eye to Ireland, left Tuesday night, slept on the plane, and then stayed up the regular time in Ireland to get used to the time change. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, anybody that's flown, not necessarily from coast to coast, but flown like with a 5 or more hour time difference, how does that actually work? I mean, how quickly can your body adjust to something like that? I went to Texas and I had trouble with 1 hour.
Well, it depends on a couple of things. Depends on your age. Depends on your physical health.
Oh, really? Okay.
It depends on your mental. What do you need to do? Being able to go over twice to Ireland. One was a little business and pleasure, and one was more pleasure. So your state of mind as you're flying allows you to do some things. If you have to get there and hit the ground running and go to meetings or catch up and do business, you're in a little different. You have a little less medicine on the plane maybe when you're going over.
5 hour difference.
A cocktail here and there can do a lot, but
that helps. Okay.
but also too though you try to adjust your clock wherever you go. You try to adjust your body to the time frame, the time zone and the clock that you're in to do that. But
5 hour time difference?
Yeah.
Is that what it? I thought.
I
that's
believe
what it
it's 5 because you get 6 over, or 5 in Wimbledon. That's right. I was trying to think that, but you look at the business people that fly back and forth, or you look at the actors and actresses and the people that aren't going over for leisure time. The faster the better. The red eyes are even from the West Coast to the East Coast. The red eyes are acceptable because you're not losing as much time supposedly as you might be able to sleep a little bit. So no, if they're going to be home Saturday night, that's they hopefully miss the volcano and hopefully come back for the victory.
I'll tell you what, I've seen an awful lot of Facebook posts from people that are at the game from this area in Ireland, and
how their eyes look.
I don't know. Most of them are holding a Guinness, quite honestly.
Well, when the eyes start to look like road maps of Manhattan, you know that they've had a couple Guinnesses.
I see.
But
Okay.
Guinness is considered. A lot of folks drink Guinness for medical reasons.
That's like
only.
orange juice in Ireland.
Well, they drink
I'm
for
just
medical
kidding.
reasons.
All right, 1-800-795-9565 will be the toll-free line. You'll need that as our show progresses today. We can talk about the topic of your selection. We had talked about the concept of talking about media bias when we return, so we certainly can discuss that as the hour progresses, but we'd just love to talk to you about any topic that you would like to discuss today. Mark Lawrence, Ben Reichley, Kevin Herr, the greatest engineer the world has ever known, going to be doing some Shikellamy play-by-play tonight, back from a brief retirement stint, but very much energized and ready to go. So he'll be out there with the coach Dick Hort, and we'll have all the other guys at all the other places and all the other women where they need to be too.
Well, Kevin's
helping
holdout was due to contract reasons. You guys upped his contract, so he's back.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Do you have any women broadcasters associated with all this?
No.
Women board operators?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, we have some producers. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, and I know Cody Jade is probably the greatest producer in the building, so I know she'll be available tonight. Are you deploying her? Is she?
I believe she is. Yeah.
Okay,
I believe she has been duly deployed.
Good. And then let's see, what do we want to call it? What can you call Sean Carey that describes his zeal and his talent when it comes to the post-game show, the Sunbury Motors post-game show?
Maitre d' of the post show.
Right, the maitre d' of the goalposts. He is going to be doing the game night tonight, sponsored by Sunbury Motors.
And he's dressed formally. He might be in coat and tails.
Right, he has that leftover from the Valley. He thought, well, if I'm paying $50 for this, I'm going to get at least 2 wears out of it. So he'll be wearing the tux again tonight as we launch the game night again.
I'm not going to be in a tux.
Right, I figured.
Sorry, I
you're
draw
going
the
out in the
line.
field.
You probably might have a little bit more on than you thought you'd have in August.
Yeah, the August
far
football
as
game. This is your only chance, folks, to see Kevin in shorts. So enjoy it while you can.
I'm telling you right now, every year, Coach Hort and I talk about this. We talk about the fact that we start the year roasting, and then by late October, early November, complaining because there's no heat. I said, one of these 18 years, I said, I'm going to realize that this is the way it's going to be. I'm prepared this year for the whole weather situation. And what happens today? Kickoff temperature is going to be about 65 instead of 80.
All right. Well, yeah, we had a warm fall last
Enjoy
fall,
it.
so I think you're going to enjoy a little bit better one this year. So, well, we'll keep an eye on you. So thank you. Enjoy your game tonight, and we'll have fun with that. Football Friday will be fully talked about and vetted and discussed this afternoon on the Steve Jones Show. Plus, we'll look at Penn State legacy eras tonight on the Steve Jones Show. The webcam is up and running. We invite you to watch the On the Mark show. Please do go to WKOK.com and click on the Ustream web stream, and we would just love for you to watch the show. It also right there serves as a 24-hour archive, or in this case, a little bit more than 48 48-hour archive, and we'll overwrite it on Monday. But you could always go to WKOK's YouTube channel. There's lots of video posted there. We put some video up this week from something that we attended, and we have the On the Mark shows there. So it's an opportunity for you to watch the WKOK news. On the Mark is brought to you by the Sunbury Motor Company, family-owned dealership since 1915, 4th Street, Sunbury, and routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Kevin wouldn't have a soul if it weren't for the Sunbury Motor Company and the Kia dealership on routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. So we'll be talking more about that next hour.
And it'll be back in the it'll be back at the dealership later today. So if you would like to see the Kia Red Zone Edition, the Kia Soul Red Zone Edition, you can.
On the used car lot now. Sorry.
So hold it. It's not going to be parked in the Shikellamy Stadium parking lot with signs around it?
No.
With a cutout feature of you sitting in the driver's seat as you do the game?
No. You're getting me confused with the hamsters.
Kevin is taking the WKOK auxiliary minivan tonight, so we'll be able to see that deployed. And
the wrapped one?
No, it is not wrapped. It's wrecked, but it's not wrapped.
Okay, I thought it was a floating billboard.
Yeah, we have 6 vehicles, and Kevin is taking number 7 out tonight, okay. So... But you'll see him at the game, and that's all we'll say about that. Should have bought a Ford. Is that all we're going to say about the minivan?
I take it then, Kevin, I thought you might be driving Rogers' Mustang with the top down into the game. That would look good, wouldn't it?
It's the same color. It's the same color.
The only thing that's close.
Blue. Right, so... SunburyMotors.com. I don't know if they're going to pay for this mention, but that's who did. It's in their honor, nonetheless. And the Lenape Solar email in basket is open. Simply email on the mark at WKOK.com. We always read your email on the radio for the most part, almost always. Okay, mostly.
You try hard.
Except for some. And if you would like to get into that percentage of emails read on the radio, do please send us a note at onthemark at WKOK.com. Lenape Solar is the sponsor. Boy, would they love to hook you up with the Mitsubishi line of the HVAC systems that are heat pumps. You put a little unit on the outside, and you can put up to 4 units on the inside with just a little, basically a hose the size of a garden hose that goes to each of the rooms, and they snake it up your wall, and they put it inside the spouting. It's hidden. It's very subtle, and it's a fantastic, non-invasive way for you to add supplemental heat and cooling to your home. LenapeSolar.com, the website to go to get that process started at your place, and you'll be surprised how inexpensive it is to save $1 million on your heat, and that's just this winter. It'll pay for itself in a very short amount of time. We do have open phones right now, so we invite you to check in 1-800-795-9565. Lots of folks making a lot of hay about the president, indicating publicly yesterday that we do not have a strategy for once we consider action in the Ukraine and Syria. So of course he backpedaled a little bit from that, but it's really just voicing what we've been saying at this table all along. If we could have a cohesive, concrete strategy for the years ahead, it might be a little bit easier to deal with some of these pop-up topics. So we can talk about that today. We have mentioned media bias, so perhaps if there's something that you care to talk about, in that case, Governor Corbett we talked Wednesday about a new poll that said he'd need to get the Medicaid expansion plan through and some pension reform through if he wants to really affect his poll numbers. The Medicaid expansion plan is now advancing thanks to the U.S. government, so we may see some action there. Of course, the pension hybrid plan, we'll have to wait and see. So those are some of the topics of the day. All of the state and local news of the day is fair game, plus maybe just something you're thinking about. 1-800-795-9565. That's 1-800-795-9565. That is our toll-free line. Lenape Solar email in basket is open. Just email on the market at WKOK.com, and our main sponsor is the Sunbury Motor Company.
You've patiently waited all summer to buy that new car or truck. Well, this is it. It's the giant Labor Day liquidation at Sunbury Motors. 2015s are arriving, and SMC has to make room by blowing out 2014 models. The end of summer means the best savings of the year. Just listen. 2014 Ford Focuses start at $14,915. Save up to $7,000 on 2014 Ford F-150s. And Sunbury Motors has over 75 5 to choose from. 4-wheel drive super cabs are as low as $30,924. Hyundai Sonatas are discounted $4,000. 2014 Hyundai Elantras start at $16,700. And every new Hyundai comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. End the summer with a new car or truck during the Labor Day liquidation. Going on now through Saturday at Sunbury Motors in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, and at sunburymotors.com. SMC, a tradition of trust since 1915.
This is Justin Charles from Lenape Solar. Did you know we use exclusive manufacturing partners? Our solar modules are made with American components in an American factory by an American company in Milwaukee. Our lighting fixtures are made less than 3 hours away in Philadelphia. Even our fluorescent lamps are made here in the U.S., as are our solar racking systems. We're dedicated not just to quality, but our local economy. Find out more by calling 286-1496, online at lenapesolar.com, or drop by our showroom at 140 South 2nd Street, Sunbury, and see these products in person.
Are you concerned about funding your child's college education? Let Mifflinburg Bank and Trust take your worries away with a new home equity loan. Come and meet one of our loan officers to discuss available rates, terms, and financing options, or apply online today at mbtc.com. Mifflinburg Bank and Trust, your community's trusted financial resource with convenient locations in Mifflinburg, Lewisburg, Millheim, New Berlin, and Schmoken Dam. Always online at mbtc.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When your kids are young, it's easy to postpone saving for college, but the earlier you start, even with small amounts, the more you may benefit from tax savings or other financial advantages. So to start your plan now, contact me, Betsy Guffey of Milestone Investment Services, located at Mifflinburg Bank and Trust.
Advisory service and securities offered through Lincoln Investment Planning Incorporated. Member FINRA and SIPC. Lincoln Investment Planning is not affiliated with Milestone Investment Services or Mifflinburg Bank and Trust. Securities are not FDIC insured and involve risk, including possible loss of principal.
This is John. And John from Bider's Home Center. So Bider's will be closed on Labor Day, but we're having a Labor Day sale? Yep, with 0% interest financing for 1 year. How will we be closed on Labor Day, but have a Labor Day sale? What difference does it make? It means customers get to shop and save now through 5 p.m. Sunday. Yes, but... Okay, fine, Mr. Technical. Folks don't miss Bider's huge pre-Labor Day sale. Feel better? Only if we have great savings throughout the store. We certainly do, like a microwave cart for $57. Or a famous Eden Pure infrared heater, only $147. And a Dyson bagless upright vacuum is clearance priced at just $227. But that's not all. We also have a queen set of gel-infused memory foam bedding, only $333. And a Frigidaire frost-free 13.6 cubic foot upright freezer is now $397. So for these savings and more throughout the store, head to one of Bider's 5 convenient locations for our huge pre-Labor Day sale and 0% interest for 1 year now through 5 p.m. Sunday. This is John. And John saying hurry to Bider's Home Center today.
See store for complete financing details.
Labor Day is quickly approaching, but don't worry. Wise Markets has all of your holiday meal needs. Stop by Wise and pick up everything you'll need to cook for your friends and family. Our featured holiday items are fresh, locally grown whole seedless watermelons, $3.99. Select Pepsi products, 4 for $10, must buy 4. And selected Utz potato chips, buy 1, get 1 free. Limits may apply. Stop by our grand opening at 719 Route 522 Selinsgrove for even more great savings. Shop Wise for incredible value, service, and quality.
A new era of Penn State football opens tomorrow. We'll take a look back at some of the great eras of Penn State football with Fran Fisher and Lou Prado, 3 to 5 News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Welcome back to WKOK Live telephone talk show. It is entitled On the Mark. I am Mark Lawrence. Lance, thank you so much for calling in. You are on the mark.
Good morning, you fine men. How you do?
We're doing great. Thanks for calling in.
What I was calling about here was we talked about media bias. I think you can answer that in in the answer to this one question, and that was, why did Air America fail? And of course the answer is it wasn't needed.
Well, supply and demand in the market, and even though it was backed heavily by different groups, it just couldn't pass the business test.
No, I understand that part, but the biggest thing was it wasn't needed. I mean, it was just another voice.
Yeah, oversaturation of the liberal progressive viewpoints. That's a good point.
And did they have a sound business model? So the way that they were set up was good, but it was just a lack of audience that was the issue.
Yeah.
Or was it a business-related topic?
Yeah, well, because they were already listening to the same thing everywhere else.
Yeah, I guess oversaturation of the message, and it didn't. They tried to revive it a couple of times, and it just didn't work in the business world.
Yeah. Well, now also here recently, this was really biased by omission, and that was about Bank of America, the big fine they paid. You remember that there, 16 point whatever billion for the shady deals, supposedly?
The mortgage-backed loans. Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. Well, they said, and their subsidiaries, which of course was Countrywide and, whoever else. Mm-hmm. But what they didn't tell you was when all this went on, those folks were not a subsidiary of Bank of America.
No, Bank of America acquired them at a later time. And I forget what if you wanted a loan, it was Countrywide's CEO, friends of so-and-so. You got a loan, and I think that's where Christopher Dodd and those folks. One thing about the banking side, and talking to a couple bankers in the last couple weeks, the Dodd-Frank bill and the law is just so frustrating for bankers. And what it has added and what it has not, as far as enhancing the banking world, is, and most of it's not even implemented yet. So it's interesting when you look at the legislation that came out of, let's say, the financial meltdown. Has it enhanced the banking at all, or has it started to inhibit folks from being able to get loans and banks to give loans? And I'm talking about smaller banks. The big banks are going to survive because they can play the shell game and move things around.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. But see, the deal was, though, the media failed to mention that, except, of course, for the accursed Fox, that the Bank America, was not involved. 6% of that whole thing you might be able to put on Bank of America, and probably 4, yeah. But that was pretty amazing, and they made them look like the villain without ever mentioning the fact that they really weren't involved in it. Mm-hmm. So now everybody's thinking, boy, them bankers, they're terrible,
Well, it goes back to, and I don't have the notes here, but you go back to the legislation that was passed. I believe it was referred to something Community Action Act and I believe it was Clinton administration with the Republican Congress that passed it. But when you lowered the standards for loans, and then I think somewhere in the early 2000s, it hit where Alan Greenspan finally came out, chairman of the Fed at that time, finally came out and said, hold it, interest-only loans does not build a good foundation. Oh. And of course, when people were really almost upside down when they were getting a loan with their financials, it just we see what happened. It just played out till 06, 07, 08, and that's what happens.
Yeah, our government really was the culprit in causing that whole thing by setting the bar for the loans.
Well, sleep at the wheel, but if you play the politics part of the game, is if you're in the White House and administration, you say, hold it, we got to pull this back and make this more secure. Then all of a sudden you're denying people loans. So you have the optics, the politics of it, and then you have the reasonable common sense financial analysis, and it just doesn't work.
Is less regulation better regulation in that case?
At times. Well, when you say regulation, one of the things about it, we talk about government, small, large. I try to say efficient government, efficient regulations that allow businesses to be businesses, and allow the market to allow businesses to succeed in that within the rules. But again, you would hope government was more like referees involved in a good sporting match or a good match, where at the end of the game they don't come into play. The two teams played. And all of a sudden, they go off, and whoever won because they did things legitimately right. Not that an official had to make a call, or they had to go stand underneath a hood and watch TV for 10 minutes of the game to decide if that was a play or not. So,
Lance, what's an example of a cumbersome banking regulation? One that maybe we could all just live a little bit better without.
Well, that the old crusty bankers of our boyhood should come back. The folks that actually at a local level is what I'm trying to say. Is what we need is that, and those. Now, if we would have some regulations, well, I don't say regulations, but if you really let the market work, those loans would never have happened.
Mm-hmm. In the true market, it wouldn't have worked.
It never would have happened. Because back when I got our mortgage, okay, you needed the 20% down. Mm-hmm. And we lived in an 18 by 18 shack with no running water for about a year and a half. And we saved
beans
the
and
money
rice.
to do it.
Beans and rice, they call it on the Ramsey Show.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And that is the whole thing. I don't think that...
my lovely bride and I, just quick story, Lance, and if I interrupt you so much that you can't get your point across, you're welcome to call back, but my lovely bride and I did that before we bought our house, only to go to the bank and find out that we could borrow hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars with less down payment if we wanted to. We didn't realize that
you're better off.
The rules were changing while we saved.
But you're better off doing what you did, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's silly.
Yeah. If people had done that, the folks then that got those houses would have wanted to keep them. They would have had the, not exactly incentive, but the intestinal fortitude to hang in there, because they stood to lose something.
But the scrutiny now that banks have to go through to put a mortgage out, a small business loan out, the pendulum has swung the other way, and it's very difficult now to look at it. And also, too, I think I agree with you. Some of the old crusty bankers, the bankers who were really business people, meant something. Right now, how many? The joke sort of is, how many VPs are at a bank?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. The president.
Everybody but one.
So,
all right. Well, thank you very much, Lance.
Okay.
Appreciate the call. And do call back if we continue to strike on topics that you'd like to finish elaborating on. Very much appreciated. Yeah, just saw one of those old crusty bankers. She's still doing great, and she's helping us out a lot of projects, and we appreciate her efforts all along. You're listening to News Radio 1070 WKOK Sunbury. The webcam is up and running. Lenape Solar sponsors the email in basket on the market at WKOK.com. Sunbury Motor Company, our main sponsor. This is WKOK Sunbury.
CBS News. I'm Dave Barrett. Could be 1,000 Russian troops who are now inside eastern Ukraine. Anders Fogh Rasmussen, NATO's Secretary General, not happy about that.
This is a blatant violation of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Correspondent Elizabeth Palmer told CBS this morning.
President Vladimir Putin has addressed a youth group at home in Russia where he said the Ukrainians and the Russians are practically one people. Well, whatever he said, proof is mounting that in a bold escalation, the Russian military has sent both troops and heavy fighting equipment into Ukraine. The goal seems to be to help pro-Russian rebels who were losing ground to the Ukrainian army.
Might there be more sanctions put in place against Russia? European Union leaders are discussing that today. Aerial surveillance over Syria already taking place. A plan for airstrikes to take out ISIS terrorists is being developed by the White House. Since the Syrian civil war began, 3 million of its people have become refugees, according to the UN High Commission on Refugees. Spokesman Adrian Edwards Skypes on where those refugees have wound up.
Lebanon, for example, well over 1 million people, 1 million Syrian refugees there. Jordan also has a very large refugee population, about 600,000. Turkey, 800,000.
In this country, in a medically induced coma in a New York City hospital, comedian Joan Rivers. She stopped breathing during a vocal cord procedure at a doctor's office. WCBS TV's Dave Carlin says Rivers' daughter Melissa issued a statement.
I want to thank everyone for the overwhelming love and support for my mother. She is resting comfortably and is with our family. We ask that you continue to keep her in your thoughts and prayers.
Joan Rivers is 81. Right when they show up, some new college students have to take a test, and it has nothing to do with academics. Here's reporter Larry Miller.
Colleges are worried that students arriving from West Africa could be infected with the often deadly Ebola virus. While the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have no specific recommendations, some universities drafted their own health checks and on enrollment will ask these students to track their temperature and any symptoms for 21 days. The government says around 10,000 students come from the 4 African countries hit by the Ebola epidemic.
Americans didn't buy as many cars in July. That was a factor. Consumer spending dropped 0.1%. S&P futures are up 2 points. Rockers can write more than lyrics. Bruce Springsteen had this hit 5 years ago. This November, the Boss is out with a children's book called Outlaw Pete, The Adventures of a Bank-Robbing Baby. This is CBS News.
A touch of oil around the gasket, a little in the filter. The small details got you through the last 100,000 miles, and they'll get you through the next 100 too. Here's another detail you'll appreciate from Advance Auto Parts. Get 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil and a Purolator Classic Oil Filter for just $24.99. Plus, get a $7 advance gift card by mail. Advance Auto Parts. Let's get you back to the garage.
Mail-in rebate, void where prohibited. See store for details.
Prostate problems are no laughing matter. The older you get, the more likely you'll have prostate problems, which can affect sleep and intimacy. The Prostate Formula from Real Health Labs has been helping men support normal prostate function and free urinary flow for years. Go to prostateformula.com, that's prostateformula.com, to receive a special offer. Look for the blue and white box at supercenters, drugstores, and leading retailers everywhere. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Maybe you just better hit the gym if you want to work.
Getting a job isn't an easy task in today's market, and being overweight can make it a lot harder. Researchers surveyed HR and recruitment professionals, and more than half admitted to finding obesity to be an undesirable trait in a potential employee. And they also admitted to using a person's weight as a marker of predicted work ethic. Basically, they see overweight people as tending to be lazy, underproductive, and more prone to injury. More than a third of those surveyed admitted they found it hard to be impartial toward obese job candidates. Jim Chenevey, CBS News.
At the U.S. Open Tennis Tournament in New York, the dream ends for 15-year-old Catherine Bellis. After she won in the opening round, she couldn't do it in the second one, dropping a 3-setter in the second match to the much older 20-year-old Zarina Dias. I'm Dave Barrett, CBS News.
They say every healthy relationship should have a balance of predictability and spontaneity. In fact, it is that assurance of security that makes the spontaneous possible. Your relationship with your car should be a little like that too. With our new industry-leading unlimited mileage warranty, your certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz instills a sense of confidence. You drive away knowing that you can keep driving for up to 3 years and never have to worry about the miles. Add to that our new complimentary prepaid maintenance on select models, and your certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz becomes the ultimate carefree escape vehicle. Only during the Mercedes-Benz Certified Pre-Owned Sales event, going on now through September 2nd, can you also take advantage of a 2-month payment credit on many models, plus 3 months of Sirius XM satellite radio. So hurry in today. It might just be the most predictable, spur-of-the-moment decision you've ever made.
See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer for complete details and limitations on certified pre-owned warranties.
Newsradio 1070 WKOK presents On the Mark. It's a chance to voice your opinion on the events that affect life in the Susquehanna Valley. Call 1-800-795-9565 or email onthemark@wkok.com. Now, here are your hosts for On the Mark, Mark Lawrence and Ben Reichley.
Greetings and welcome back to WKOK's live telephone talk show. It is entitled On the Mark. I am Mark Lawrence. Please do not forget the webcam is up and running. Go ahead and check it out at WKOK.com. Crystal clear image, ultra sharp audio, wonderful graphics that at this very moment say Mark Lawrence and Ben Reichley, and that is so true. And Kevin Hers, the operator of the switcher and Chiron and all the other things that make VOSOPs happen and other things that are strange initials on the webcam. So do check that out, please, at WKOK.com. And then check out our YouTube channel that has our archive posted. Lenape Solar email in basket is open. You simply email on the mark at WKOK.com and we'll read your email on the radio. We invite you to do what I have done. That is to make sure that you have a very small unit on the outside and just an even tinier unit on the inside, so you don't have to take window air conditioners in and out, and you can make your already efficient furnace even more efficient by making sure that you can supplement the heating and cooling in your home with a heat pump provided by Lenape Solar. They also can do a commercial lighting audit, and they do go solar voltaic as well. And the Sunbury Motor Company. It is very safe to say that Kevin had no soul until the Sunbury Motor Company came along and gave him one. And to that end, he says,
now they're taking it back. No.
Well, tell me about this wonderful automobile.
It's the Kia Soul Red Zone Special Edition. Limited Edition is the vehicle that I've been demoing this week. And one of the things that I have to admit that is very, very nice about this vehicle is it's a sporty feel, but yet you still have room to be able to, have multiple people in the vehicle. So if you have a family of 4, you're not jamming everybody into the back seat, and the front seat is leaning on top of someone's knees because, you're trying to fit yourself into the steering wheel. Well, all right, that's my problem. But anyway, and the people in the back are not sacrificing space. Plus, there's some luggage space, we'll call it, in the back, a storage compartment underneath, and about 27 miles of the gallon around town. So you're definitely not losing anything in the way of gas mileage, and priced very affordably as well, with a backup camera, which I now find is a necessity.
Yeah, honestly, my lovely bride's vehicle has one, and you sort of get hooked on it when you're going backwards. And of course, it has little lines on it that tells you where the safe zone is.
That's the cool part. There's
backing up.
Yeah, there's green, yellow, and red. Now, I know there's a lot of people that love to back into stalls, and if you're going to a high school football game tonight, you don't want to try and back out of the parking stall as everybody's trying to get out of the stadium. This will actually make sure you're lined up properly if you go from the green zone to the yellow zone, and just as you hit the red zone or just before, that's when you stop.
Yeah, but isn't it like a calculator for your math problems? Shouldn't you know how to do it without having that? Just like shouldn't you know how to add, subtract, divide?
If you can use a calculator if you are allowed to use a calculator on the SAT, then the backup camera should be automatic for you on the vehicle.
But again, though, will you when you're training your young son Daniel to drive, will you allow him to use the backup camera, or will you make him sort of do it by hand?
Well, he'll learn by hand first, and then take the easy way out as he gets older. That's the way I look at it. So stop and see it this weekend through the holiday weekend. Sunbury Motors Kia, the Sunbury Motors Kia Soul Red Zone Edition will be back on the lot, and you can drive it home.
Well, you know what? They should have Kai, just to go in and see Kai and ask him to go, or Austin go in and ask him to demonstrate that backup camera. The one that Kevin Hurst sat in.
And it's a perfect automobile. Don't worry, he's sitting on a plastic sheet, folks. So
I even cleaned it all up inside and out to make sure it was nice and spiffy looking.
Perfect. Well, it sounds fantastic. Well, thank you, Kevin. Thanks for the information. SunburyMotors.com. There just isn't a single thing we just talked about that you can't find more details about at SunburyMotors.com. And we do have some brief news headlines, but we invite you to call in the topic of your selection. It's an open phones Friday. Media bias, the topic of one of our emails. Another one, the subject line is BK, as in Burger King. From Milton, need some help getting your finances together? Dave Ramsey offers financial advice daily on WKOK, and now his Financial Peace University is coming to a local church. Bruce Cross, coordinating Financial Peace University at Revival Tabernacle in Watsontown, says it's not just about debt management or debt eradication. He says it's all about how you deal with gathering wealth throughout your life. Cross went through the course himself and invites everyone to join in the experience. Financial Peace University, you can get get the details at WKOK.com or revtab.org for the Revival Tabernacle if you're looking for more information, or DaveRamsey.com. 500,000 more low-income Pennsylvanians are now in line to get access to federally funded health insurance. Governor Tom Corbett's administration says the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has agreed to a plan to make Pennsylvania the 27th state to accept Medicaid expansion dollars under the landmark 2010 federal health care law. The money became available January 1st, but the Republican governor is heavily critical of President Barack Obama's signature law and said he refused to accept the money without first securing changes to give coverage more characteristics of private insurance. Coverage will be administered through private insurers, but it must adhere to Medicaid's rules. Low-income childless adults primarily will gain the coverage, which would start January 1st. Corbett is facing an uphill battle to win re-election November 4th. It is considered a major feather in his cap to be able to say the Medicaid expansion dollars are secured and that individuals who are uninsured up to now would be able to procure those Medicaid dollars.
But secured on somewhat Pennsylvania terms, not just the federal government's terms.
Right, on Governor Corbett's terms. So salute to Governor Corbett for finally being able to work that out. After years of delays and confusion, Pennsylvania is releasing details on 243 cases where regulators determined that oil or natural gas drilling or related activities ruined private drinking water wells. The state DEP Thursday did finally release a link to the documents. The AP and other news outlets have waged legal battles for several years seeking those records. The Corbett administration and DEP was not interested in releasing the details, saying they deal with private issues. DEP previously released some documents to different news organizations, but not all, but had never released a comprehensive list. The 243 cases from 2008 to 2014 include some where multiple water wells were impacted. The problems include methane gas contamination attributed to drilling, spills of wastewater and other pollutants, and wells that went dry or were otherwise undrinkable. Other complaints are still being investigated during that same time frame. And NFL players will be subject to a 6-week suspension for a first domestic violence offense and banishment from the league for a second offense under a new policy outlined by the commissioner, Roger Goodell. In a letter and a memo sent to all 32 team owners Thursday and obtained by the AP, Goodell says he didn't get it right. He gave Baltimore Ravens running back Ray Rice a 2-game suspension for allegedly hitting a woman who is now his wife. He told teams to distribute to all players the memo in which he writes domestic violence and sexual assault are wrong, they are illegal, they are never acceptable, and have no place in the NFL under any circumstances, unquote. So this is out now. Does this affect players who might have a pending case now that they would, if it's found to be... This is going to take effect later.
I think it takes effect immediately, but it was just a huge faux pas by the commissioner and NFL on this deal. This was a deal where the Baltimore Ravens running back had an argument with his, I believe, then fiancée.
That's correct.
They were in an elevator. Now, the only parts you see, I believe, them getting into an elevator and then him dragging her off the elevator, and she is unconscious. And within the elevator, supposedly, what happened? She spit in his face. He punched her. She was out, and he drags her out of the elevator. But the NFL supposedly saw the internal video inside the elevator. So for him to get 2 games, just ridiculous. I mean,
too little.
Far too little, and the commissioner had his head up something, and it wasn't reality. But the commissioner also has an owner, it's not Robert Irsay, that was his father, Irsay with the Baltimore, or the Indian, I wish they were the Baltimore Colts, the Indianapolis Colts, that was caught with a bag of prescription drugs and money, and they weren't his prescription. So that's hanging out there. But the situation with the domestic violence is you set the example. It's a privilege to play in the NFL. It's a privilege to play. There's certain things and code of conduct, and the NFL no reason that Ray Rice for the Baltimore Ravens, or if he was for the Mars Space Cadets. It doesn't matter who he's playing for. That should have been minimal 6 to 8 games. Well, let's say 6 to 8 games, somewhere in there, suspension, and then this should be the policy. One thing the NFL is going to have a tough time with, though, is the marijuana. Kevin's buddies, the 2 running backs from Pittsburgh, a.k.a. Cheech and Chong, who were caught smoking marijuana on the way to catch the plane to the preseason game. But the medical marijuana issue is going to be pushed pretty hard by the NFL Players Association. So
I didn't know you couldn't be high and drive a car.
Yeah, and this is a person who went to college.
Yes.
One of our listeners sends a note, says, regarding the NFL, why would you punish a person at work for a crime they committed at home? So why, I guess... Morality
clause.
Yeah, morality clause, code of conduct. I mean, it would be, Mark, I'm sure if you...
we have one, so
yeah, I was going to say,
ahead, you can go there all you want.
If you felt one night that you felt like celebrating and you said to your wife, hey, I am going to go run naked down the streets of Northumberland.
We got to behave.
I'm sure it might affect your occupation, as it would mine or Kevin's or for the most part anybody. But the emailer or the person who there is a little bit of a point there in some regards. When is your private life your private life? But at some point your employer does have, if you have a contract, if you have agreements, the code of conduct, the morality clauses.
He has a public position as opposed to someone who works in a factory that's the big difference.
Well, you're not giving him a penalty because he chooses on his day off to go sit in the mountains and meditate. I mean, that's so at some point your privacy is your privacy. You can do what you can do. But in this regards, the part that came into it, and this is quite interesting. It happened in New Jersey, and I'm trying to, I can't remember the county Atlantic City's in.
Bergen County?
Atlantic County, isn't it?
Is it Atlantic or Ocean?
I thought it was Atlantic County.
Okay, and you're right. But the same judge and the DA are the ones that are involved in this very strange case of the mother in Philadelphia, single mother of 2 children, who got pulled over in New Jersey for speeding or some violation, and she has a carry permit, a concealed carry permit in Pennsylvania. But now in New Jersey, they're throwing the book at her like she was basically a domestic terrorist. So what's interesting...
Because her carry permit doesn't apply there.
No, and she thought it did. She thought because it is reciprocal in, I believe, 23,
right,
25
Maryland
states.
And Delaware is okay, but not New Jersey.
So she gets caught. She gets caught speeding, and the judge in the Ray Rice case said this is a first-time offense, so gave him huge leniency. Well, the lady that happened in New Jersey with the gun, first-time offense, but they're throwing the book at her, and it's the same DA and same judge. So, but no, as far as the NFL, the code of conduct, and the commissioner needs to be consistent on this, and he also needs to get the Irsay matter wrapped up.
All right, 1-800-795-9565 is our telephone number. Any additional thoughts on that? We do have a couple of emails pending, and we're talking about media bias. Right now we're talking about the NFL, so we have a couple of emails, so we'll sift through those. But we will take a quick break, and when we return, we love your phone call on this. I would just love to hear from you. What is your thought about this NFL discussion? I think it has captured some national attention. This ain't just a Football Friday segment between, this ain't towel snapping, folks. This has become a national issue where the NFL does expect a higher standard of behavior from its players. When they don't adhere to that, and it is a policy for the players, up to now, they simply were not punished in a consistent manner. Sometimes adequately, but most recently not for Ray Rice. And then Roger Goodell says it's time to fix it.
Well, one thing to keep in mind, Mark, there are some rules and regulations that, not necessarily rules and regulations, but guidelines due to the NFL Players Association as far as punishments on certain things. that Roger Goodell in the NFL have to follow. And that's why you're seeing the questions regarding drug usage, because that's in the NFL Players Association contract. This is something I don't believe is addressed in the Players Union contract. So that's why his punishment was really scrutinized much, much harder than it is with most of the other ones that involve drugs and marijuana use.
All right, we'll elaborate on that when we return. You are listening to On the Mark. I'd love to get your opinion about this. The NFL, did they jump the shark originally, or are they just where they should be now, or do they have a long way to go when it comes to imposing penalties that help uphold what seem like existing and written down, codified moral clauses? 1-800-795-9565 is the toll-free line. Give us a buzz. 1-800-795-9565. Did the NFL do enough? Why not suspend indefinitely or banish on the first offense if you think that this is as big a deal as it really is? 1-800-795-9565. Lenape Solar email in basket is open, and our main sponsor is the Sunbury Motor Company.
You've patiently waited all summer to buy that new car or truck. Well, this is it. It's the giant Labor Day liquidation at Sunbury Motors. 2015s are arriving, and SMC has to make room by blowing out 2014 models. The end of summer means the best savings of the year. Just listen. 2014 Ford Focuses start at $14,915. Save up to $7,000 on 2014 Ford F-150s. And Sunbury Motors has over 75 to choose from. Four-wheel drive super cabs are as low as $30,924. Hyundai Sonatas are discounted $4,000. 2014 Hyundai Elantras start at $16,700. And every new Hyundai comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. End the summer with a new car or truck during the Labor Day liquidation. Going on now through Saturday at Sunbury Motors in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, and at sunburymotors.com. SMC, a tradition of trust since 1950.
This is John.
And John from Biters Home Center. I need your help.
With what?
My wife found out Biters will be closed on Labor Day.
So?
She has a honey-do list for me as long as my arm. I don't want to labor on my day off.
Just tell her with Biters' huge Labor Day sale with 0% interest financing for 1 year now through 5 p.m. Sunday, you'll need the day off to recover when it's over.
Ooh, that's good.
And believe me, with all the price slashing and great deals to offer, you'll be plenty tired.
You're not kidding. We have a 19-inch LED TV for only $107.
A Power Chase recliner is just $267.
And a transitional microfiber sofa is a low $297 now at all Biters.
Plus, we have a 14.8 cubic foot refrigerator for $397.
And a complete 6-piece master bedroom with headboard, footboard, dresser, mirror, chest, and nightstand is an unheard of $699.
So for these savings and more throughout the store,
head to one of Biters' 5 convenient locations for our huge Labor Day sale and 0% interest for 1 year now through 5 p.m. Sunday. This is John.
And John saying hurry to Biters Home Center today.
See store for complete financing details.
This is it, folks. The last week of the retirement sale at Colonial Candle Crafters. The inventory is held out, but this is your last chance to stock up on Colonial Candle Crafters' remaining palm wax candles, 3-dimensional rose pillars, hand-painted critter candles, or one of Pat Hess's famous distressed pillar candles. Wedding candle orders can still be filled, and emergency 4-ounce mini jar candles have been made in Colonial Candle Crafters' most popular fragrances of blueberry muffin, raspberry pomegranate, cinnamon bud, whispers of Christmas, warm apple crisp, and season's greetings, with most items at half price. But hurry in, as this Saturday, August 30th at 5:30 p.m., the candelabras in the windows will be unplugged, the doors will be locked, and a local business landmark, Colonial Candle Crafters, will become a memory.
Keep the candle burning.
Colonial Candle Crafters, Route 15, 2 miles south of Lewisburg.
Where do you find safe and effective products to clean up the toughest messes around your home? Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green brand products, and I invite you to try a Simple Green solution for your cleaning needs. Simple Green. I'm so sure you'll be happy with the ability and safety of my products that I guarantee your satisfaction, or I'll refund your money. To learn more, visit us at simplegreen.com.
Simple Green, Simple Green.
Cloud may be just another overused buzzword, but the cloud is an effective computing environment that can save your business time and money. Barracuda Networks is no stranger to the cloud. In fact, all of our security and storage solutions connect to the cloud for continuous updates and off-site redundancy. Barracuda's cloud also plays host to our email security, web security, file sharing, and e-signing services. We even offer solutions on Amazon's AWS and Microsoft's Azure public cloud platforms. To try any of our cloud-connected solutions free, visit barracuda.com/cloud.
All right, the best day of my life. Kevin, the best day of Kevin's life is going to be at about 11 p.m. tonight when he hits the house in Danville and it becomes Football Friday is officially over. 1-800-795-9565. We are talking about football, the NFL. Some of our listeners are weighing in on this change in policy that requires a 6-month suspension for an individual just accused of or found guilty of or found to have actually been involved in a domestic violence incident. I guess they need a guilt.
Yeah, I think there's some
they need
guilt
a conviction.
that has to be involved here.
6 months, and then on second offense, banishment completely from the league.
And there could be legal ramifications too, Mark. Somebody's playing and this happens, they get the NFL punishment, but they could also have legal punishment.
Right, they would have their private punishment still apply, or I guess the public one. All right, to that end, one of our listeners, not signed, sends us a note, says, do these new rules apply to coaches, owners, referees, and NFL executives, or do they not need morality?
NFL executives are a yes. Owners, no. Coaches, no. They are not employees of the NFL.
Alrighty.
Referees, I believe, are contracts, so I'm not quite sure how they fit in. I'm not quite sure how they fit in the grand scheme.
But the referees do have the contract, the morality clauses that in. And
they would be handled by the referees union, I would think.
And the NFL.
Okay.
In conjunction.
And the law. And the legal.
So they do need morality after all.
No,
so thank you. Let's see. One of our listeners, third smartest woman in the entire planet, says the NFL doesn't want to lose their female fan base. This has nothing to do with justice. It's all about money. For example, she sends a quote from Forbes magazine. In 2010, the NFL began marketing apparel to women in earnest, and for good reason. Women make up nearly half of all NFL fans, about 45%. In addition to being the world's dominant apparel and gift buyer, the league had embraced an opportunity that had been lying untapped with half the population, specifically the half that does most of the shopping. Now women drive 70 to 80% of all consumer spending. This has nothing to do with justice. It has everything to do with money. Yeah, I agree with that as part of this discussion.
So the point is that they only gave them 2 games so they didn't lose the fan base?
Yeah, I don't quite understand that part either. I was thinking about that.
She might be backwards on the email here. To be giving 2 games is irritating the people who particularly female, was it the ESPN, is it Beal, Kevin? Michelle Beal twittered when Smith was making his comments on his show that when do you set yourself up to be hit, or when do you do this? So again, if they don't want to lose the fan base, that should be a 6 to 8 game suspension.
Yeah, if they didn't want to lose the fan base, they would have done it right the first time.
Yeah, and they wouldn't come out with this now.
But maybe they realized that they were going to lose the fan base, even though they didn't wish to punish him significantly. I think she's right on. I think the reason they realized this is that it was having an impact with the female fan base, and so they had to take action. If it was just guys that were monitoring this, I think they probably wouldn't have taken the action. 1-800-795-9565. Cindy, we're talking about the NFL and punishing players who break a signed morality clause that's part of their contract. You're on the mark.
Well, this brings up for me something that's really been in my craw for weeks, which this year, a Western Pennsylvania public school teacher who was a football coach pled guilty to sexually molesting students at the school. And how much prison time do you think this man got for this? Given that we had a recent case, now he molested girls, where a football coach molested boys. One would expect that this person would be sentenced to prison essentially for the rest of his life. That would seem to me like that's the bar that's been set.
Well, was he a teacher or was he just a coach? Well,
and a football coach.
Well, he was a teacher at first, then a coach second. So the teachers' union was probably involved in his legal side.
And
So guess how much time he got? 5 girls.
2 to 4 state prison.
90 to 180 days. Now, I mean, this is fact. I'm reading it right out of it. It was on the back page of the Daily Item. And that's a whole nother issue when we talk about media bias. So when this other case got years of publicity, still comes up all the time, brought up in perennially, this is buried in the back page and got minor coverage, and this man got a slap on the hand as far as I'm concerned. And I look at this and ask myself, what is the variable? Children, educator. And the only variable I see here is boys versus girls. And this goes exactly to this issue. Why is there in our community a certain acceptance of abuse towards women that is totally unacceptable if it's inflicted on a man? I don't understand that.
As far as you're saying unacceptable, what's inflicted on a man?
Would you not expect, Ben, that this teacher would suffer the same level of consequence as the former Penn State football coach did?
Well, but the circumstances seem to be different. You're talking about a public school teacher. You're talking about a retired state employee. And the circumstances are quite different from those regards. Now, if you want to talk about the hypocrisy between, you look at the female teacher and male students, you look at the difference between male and male students, you look at male-female students like in this one, and then you can start to see the hypocrisy. But again, not knowing some of the details, but you would hope, forget about Sandusky, but you would hope all these cases would be handled far more similar than dissimilar. But
right.
Again, but you can look around the country and you see the difference between female teachers on male students, the situation there compared to this. But what county or where was the school district was this in? Do you remember?
West Sunbury.
It
was reported in the Butler Eagle.
Okay.
But does not the whole planet disfavor women? I mean, we've talked about this in a number of different ways. Maybe this is the hashtag Yes All Women discussion, and this is just the latest spoke in that wheel of discussion that women and / girls are not as respected, whether it's in the courtroom or anywhere else, as boys are. And maybe the judge finds that sex with a boy is more abhorrent. He's more finds the homosexual act to be more abhorrent than what is just heterosexual, but an age issue, which I do not agree with that. I think he's way wrong on that, if that is the reason. But women are not as respected in this world, period, no matter what age.
Well, I don't think it's just the criminal justice system, because I ask this question. There was enormous press coverage when boys were assaulted by an adult. Can we agree? A year plus of press coverage.
Yep.
And there's hardly any discussion about this. And this is in Pennsylvania, and it involves an educator and it involves a coach. So all those things are exactly the same.
Yeah, but they're not. You throw out the equation. You put Penn State football in that. You put Penn State University. You put that program here, which Sandusky didn't have anything to do with the program itself. They had an office in there. I think a Spaniard or one of those guys gave him one. But again, it's far larger picture than what's going on in West Sunbury. Now, are the victims the victims? Yes, and the victims.
Are you saying that what this public school teacher, football coach did in Western Pennsylvania is worse than what Sandusky did? See, I don't see the difference whether it's a university or a public school
but I'm saying
or even a private school.
For the media, though, the media is going to be all over a story about Penn State in this regards, and some of them are there to see Penn State, particularly Penn State football, wreck. That was part of the deal was to tie this to Penn State football as tight as they could. Here's a situation where, victims are victims. There's no doubt about it here from the crime standpoint and what happened to these boys. But the point is, the media isn't going to jump at a West Sunbury school district story the way they jumped at the Penn State story, and it's just the facts of the media business.
Well, that's disappointing to me. And when I look at issues about media bias, to me this is an example of it. That by their failure to give this much coverage at all, they have placed a trivialization on this case. If what they did with regards to the Sandusky situation was the appropriate level of response, then why was it so lacking in this?
Well, this doesn't have the Penn State banner on it, primarily.
So what? So what it wasn't about little boys being molested by this older man. What it really was about was Penn State. Is that what you're saying, Mark?
To a large degree, yes.
I'm simply saying that when it comes to songs that have more hooks are more popular, stories that have more hooks get more play on the internet and on the newspaper. I mean, look at the story of Jack. Remember Jack Harkler Road up at Bucknell? Tremendous local coverage, had almost no statewide or global interest. But Penn State, big hook. So yes, I guess the answer is yes. Things that happen to, with, about, for, or regarding Penn State get more coverage than things that happen in West Sunbury.
But Cindy,
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the reality.
Look at the shootings in Missouri compared to the shootings in Chicago. Both are tragic, but you hardly hear about what goes on in Chicago over the weekend.
All right, Maggie, last caller before we take a quick break, but we invite more calls on this. We're really talking about the media coverage of sexual assault, boys versus girls, and this has stemmed from a sexual assault case that related to football and stems from the football domestic violence punishments that are being meted out now for players in the NFL. Maggie, you are on the mark.
Oh, hi. Good morning. Well, I'll make one comment on the sexual assault. I'm not sure why she married him.
Who married who?
The Ray Rice.
The guy that hit his wife and drug her out of the elevator. I'm not sure why she ended up marrying him. That was kind of dumb. But actually, I'm calling about another subject. I hope you don't mind if I'm changing subjects.
It's an open day.
I'd like to talk about pedestrian safety. I really enjoy driving on Stein Lane, going back and forth the back way to Steelers Grove, and it's a great road for people to walk and ride, and they jog and walk their dogs, but there's no berm, and I've had a couple of really close encounters in the foggy mornings, and I'm wondering if there's anybody considering perhaps a better berm there for the people's safety. So just kind of throwing it out there for people to kind of start talking about pedestrian safety, because it's pretty important, and I wouldn't want somebody to get hurt there.
All right, I'm going to put you on hold. Oh, no, that's okay. I'm going to put you on hold, Maggie, and Kevin's going to get your information. I'm going to put you in touch with the folks that are having a conversation about this these days.
Really?
Yeah, it's a transportation task force, and pedestrian walkability is the subcommittee that is talking about this. So there is a conversation about it. I wouldn't be shocked that it would lead to improvements in the future. So hold on. It'll be probably a full minute till Kevin can pick up, but he'll take some information from you, so stand by.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We are talking about pedestrian safety at this moment. Fairness and media, the subtitles of our Open Phones Friday. We invite you to call in. The topic of your selection. Do please call us now, 1-800-795-9565. Got a couple of emails pending. One relates to Air America and the other about the media being on the right of the political leanings. So 1-800-795-9565. Lenape Solar email in basket open. Email us at onthemark@WKOK.com. And we will be right back.
Hearing Picturing this in your future? Head to the Outdoor Bridal Show Sunday, September 7th on the Watson Inn premises. See vendors for every need. Bridal registration begins at 1, vendor door prize giveaways are at 3, and the grand prize is $1,000 cash. Sponsored by the Lewisburg Hotel, Watson Inn, and Mifflinburg Hotel. Thanks to partnering sponsors, Any Event Party Rental and Sales Williamsport, Tron Wedding and Party Rentals Kingston, and Wolf Sanitation Sunbury. Call the Watson Inn at 538-1832 or the Lewisburg Hotel at 523-7800.
Come on home to convenience. Come on over with style.
Come on home to Paint Central at your local Kohl's Hardware, where you'll find everything from basic beginnings to the finishing touch in one convenient place.
Save $7 per gallon on True Value Easy Care Ultra Premium and Weatherall Ultra Premium paints with coupon.
Easy Care and Weatherall paint are available in over 1,100 new designer colors. It's stain resistant, has long-lasting durability, and offers one-coat coverage, saving you time, effort, and money.
If you're ready to update your style and create the home of your dreams, make the process simple and visit the knowledgeable paint professionals at Kohl's Hardware for expert guidance and color selection.
Watch for your $7 off per gallon coupon in our new circular at Kohl'sHardware.com and sign up for exclusive online offers year-round. We're right around the corner, right here in your hometown. Come on home to Kohl's for savings on all your painting needs.
Come on home to Kohl's. Kohl's Hardware. Come on home to Kohl's. Susquehanna Valley RV.
There's still plenty of summer left, plus fall to look forward to in making those important memories with family and friends in your Susquehanna Valley RV. We have a great selection of pre-enjoyed pop-ups, hybrids, Class A and C motorhomes, travel trailers, and fifth-wheel models with and without slide-outs. As our family grows at Susquehanna Valley RV, there's no better time than now to get camping. Financing is available on all our pre-owned inventory. Make memories you'll cherish for years to come with late summer fall camping. Susquehanna Valley RV on Route 11, Bloomsburg.
We'll make it easy to find adventure. So get up, get out, and get away. There's an exciting new world waiting for you at Susquehanna Valley RV. A camper's best friend.
Take a journey back in time to the Lake Augusta Renaissance Festival this Saturday, August 30th from noon to 6 p.m. at the Sunbury Riverfront Amphitheater. Games, activities, and demonstrations of historic arts in addition to performances and tournaments are just some of the things in store. Admission is only $5 for adults and $3 for children. Find us on Facebook for more details. At 6:30, there will be a medieval feast where you can enjoy dishes served to kings and more entertainment. Tickets are $40. Seating is limited. To purchase yours, call 570-286-7768.
The Thyra M. Humphrey Center for Breast Health at Evangelical Community Hospital has a new imaging option for women with dense breasts. The Somovi automated breast ultrasound system captures multiple 3D images of the whole breast, leading to more accurate detection of abnormalities in dense tissue. Unlike other 3D imaging options, Somovi is radiation-free and readily accepted by most insurances. To learn more, visit evanhospital.com.
A new era of Penn State football opens tomorrow. We'll take a look back at some of the great eras of Penn State football with Fran Fisher and Lou Prado, 3 to 5 News Radio 1070 WKOK.
All right, that is the snare drum on the side of the Shikellamy Braves sidelines this evening, getting ready to get the Shikellamy Braves game under. Oh, wait, never mind. This is a very popular song. Okay. Sorry, wrong snare drum. Alrighty. Well,
You're right. It was a snare drum.
You
were correct with
I
that.
recognize that much, if nothing else. Yeah, I used to play one. That was always fun. Let's see.
Really? You played a snare drum? You were in the
band?
band?
And other drums.
You
No,
were
not
in
in the band.
Oh, okay.
Privately.
All right. That's
Recreationally. One of our listeners sends us a note is when we're talking about media bias and sexual abuse. One of our listeners on the subject line, Cindy, says, come on, guys. Cindy is saying all abuse is the same. But there is a huge difference. Huge. Abuse starts with groping, for Pete's sake. The whole discussion is based on a small article in the newspaper. But I will also say that sentencing guidelines are such that sentences that are handed out to people are relatively appropriate by the time that they're pronounced. Now, we might not agree with them, but sentencing guidelines call for, and as Cindy's aware of this, a very complex series of criteria to be applied when sentencing, and the very specific things that make every case different from another get applied, and it pulls the case one way or another. Now, I'm not saying 90 days is appropriate under those circumstances.
No, victims
certainly doesn't sound like it.
But victims are victims no matter where it is and how it happens.
But the individual's level of cooperation might be a factor. The level of groping versus sexual intercourse, so that could be a factor.
The guy was a teacher. The teacher union. So
you think the union saved him?
No, but he was represented by the teachers union most likely if he was a teacher. Okay. Depending how this happened. So what was what involvement, if any, did they have? Maybe they didn't, but for the most part, if he was a teacher, he's probably going to get union representation.
Okay. All right. 1-800-795-9565. We talked about media bias in general. To that end, Lance called in earlier and said Air America went out of business, at least in part because the liberal media already owns the airwaves, so they didn't need a radio station or other channels. And to that end, Caitlin, third smartest woman in the world, says, sorry, Lance, Air America did not succeed on AM radio because radio listeners are older and conservative. But if you look at Air America's lineup, Rachel Maddow, Senator Al Franken, Ed Schultz, Sam Sater, and Stephanie Miller, they found success and bigger audiences elsewhere. Young progressives are more likely to listen to podcasts, internet streaming, satellite radio, and cable television. Many young progressives do not even own an AM radio. Lance's idea that Air America folded because of corporate media is because corporate media is too liberal is laughable. In the case of Air America, it was the medium, not the message, says Caitlin.
Internet streaming, it was probably on Air America as it is on here. So, no, Air America didn't have a business model that fit. And if it was because people are older and more conservative, that can be one thing. But their model didn't fit. And to say that these other people have gone on to greater success, well, we can certainly see. I'm not sure.
Well, they haven't gone on to greater success. The highest ranked of that list, or even any progressive talk show, would be Stephanie Miller, who ranks 17th.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are you saying?
About 12 million people behind Rush Limbaugh.
Okay.
Yeah, but the whole
not what I would call a very highly listened to program.
And Maddow and Schultz's shows are on MSNBC, and those ratings last I saw in June were not.
Well, Ed Schultz was on radio. I'm not even sure. Is he on radio now? I'm not sure that he is.
Yeah, I think he's off altogether.
Oh, is it? But
all right, phone's ringing, and that is a wonderful sign. So give us a call, 1-800-795-9565. We're talking media bias, and this dovetails nicely to our NFL conversation. We would just love to hear your opinion about this.
I'll give you a good example. Kim Commando on the weekend has more listeners than Stephanie Miller does during the week.
Okay, and Stephanie Miller...
And that's a once-a-day show.
...is a liberal female
between
talk show
9
host?
and noon.
Between 9 and noon. Liberal female talk show host. All right. Boy, that sounds like a rare bird in radio to me. 1-800. I'm sorry we can't carry her, but we have Dan Patrick on, so we're obligated to carry more athletes.
Yeah, but what... Go ahead. We're going to take the caller.
Okay.
I didn't see who we had a call.
Yeah, where do you even go? Chris, you're on the mark. Thanks for calling in. You get 3 minutes of fame before a quickie break.
Okay, well, I was just going to report. I looked up that case on the Internet. And he got 6 months in jail, 1 year house arrest, and 6 years probation. He was 27 years old. There were 5 girls involved, and they exchanged nude photographs and correspondence, and there was sex acts, unspecified.
Were all the girls...
He taught 11th grade, so I assume the girls were probably in the 16-year-old age group.
Okay, so they didn't get the ages of the girls, so none of them were 18.
Well, it wouldn't have been a crime probably unless it was rape then, and unless it was above age rape, instead of statutory rape. So I'm assuming that it was consensual for whatever that means, which doesn't mean a whole lot, but it means something relative to the publicity in the case as opposed to 12-year-olds. where the
minors can't consent to sex.
And they were probably sexually active girls to start with.
Oh my God, Chris!
Hey, can I just finish my comment before you get all out of breath?
Oh, as long as you have a factual basis for that last sentence, I'll let you continue. But you're on thin ice.
Well, I'm not saying. I'm guessing that in today's world, if they were exchanging sexual pictures with the teacher, there's a good chance they were sexually active, and that does not eliminate the crime or the horror, but it's certainly a different level than if they were raped and not sexually active.
No, Chris, is anything?
Is that there is a distinction there, but how much publicity?
Better
that's what we were
to
talking
be
about,
thought a
right?
fool and silent than to open your mouth and erase all
we
doubt.
were talking about publicity.
Did he keep his job, though?
What affects the publicity of it, and how much action is taken. And the other thing is, with the court case, you never know how much actual evidence or how much willingness there is on the victims to testify, and that can also affect the plea deal and the sentencing. He pleaded guilty.
But did he?
So that also changes the publicity compared to an open big trial and everything, and somebody denying it.
Did it say that he kept his job or not?
It says former teacher, first of all, and there is no evidence. I don't know if teachers' unions do criminal representations like that.
If it's involved
I think you're making that up.
No, I'm not, Chris. If it's involved in the school,
well, he's just
speculating. The union could give you an
teacher
attorney
when he did it or when he was arrested.
Yeah, but if you're a teacher, you can get union representation depending on what it is.
If you
go ahead. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you steal something in the school, if you steal school property and take it home, they'll represent you.
But
if you rape a girl outside the school, they'll represent you.
That doesn't say where it happened, though. Did it happen on school grounds? Did it happen outside?
Well, right, but you're making it up.
No, I'm not making it up. I'm giving an opinion, Chris. Not unlike most of the stuff you make up. No, Chris.
One way or another.
Yeah, Chris.
Not that I don't know, but it's
exactly.
This way because I
exactly.
think it probably
your opinion's always based on fact, I'm sure.
Well, but this is a factual thing. You can go look it up if you want to make that.
Yeah, but Chris, you don't know. You don't know what lawyer
he
got.
They did it because they're legally required to because of the contract. So either way, it doesn't matter much, does it?
All right, we got you, Chris. Thank you very much.
Whatever.
Yeah, sexually active girls have no standing in this courtroom, I'll tell you. 1-800-795-9565. Last break of the day. Speedy dialers, please join us.
We'll read this email first, because then this comes from the absurdity of the absurdity. What is factual about today's discussion? Chris is the only one who read more than a headline. Okay, Thad. What's interesting is that when you're giving your opinion, if somebody disagrees with the opinion, it's based on you don't have the facts. And here's a scenario where Cindy brings up a situation and it didn't quite add up. So as far as who's representing him or what happened, but to make a comment that because of the girl's age that they were sexually active is just
exchanging pictures. That's the evidence.
Yeah, well, that's the evidence that they're sexually active. That's not evidence.
Well, then they don't have standing in the courtroom. Then I'll assume because say the men with daughters, I guess. Is that a factor here? 1-800-795-9. Oh, and that's a fact. Then I have a daughter. 1-800-795-9565 is our telephone number. I would just love to hear from all of you. 1-800-795-9565. We will be right back.
Patiently waited all summer to buy that new car or truck. Well, this is it. It's the giant Labor Day liquidation at Sunbury Motors. 2015s are arriving, and SMC has to make room by blowing out 2014 models. The end of summer means the best savings of the year. Just listen. 2014 Ford Focuses start at $14,915. Save up to $7,000 on 2014 Ford F-150s. And Sunbury Motors has over 75 to choose from. Four-wheel drive super cabs are as low as $30,924. Hyundai Sonatas are discounted $4,000. 2014 Hyundai Elantras start at $16,700. And every new Hyundai comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. End the summer with a new car or truck during the Labor Day liquidation. Going on now through Saturday at Sunbury Motors in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury, and at sunburymotors.com. SMC, a tradition of trust since 1915.
This is John.
And John from Biters Home Center. So Biters will be closed on Labor Day, but we're having a Labor Day sale?
Yep, with 0% interest financing for 1 year.
How will we be closed on Labor Day, but have a Labor Day sale?
What difference does it make? It means customers get to shop and save now through 5 p.m. Sunday.
Yes, but...
Okay, fine, Mr. Technical. Folks don't miss Biters' huge pre-Labor Day sale. Feel better?
Only if we have great savings throughout the store.
We certainly do, like a microwave cart for $57.
Or a famous Eden Pure infrared heater, only $147.
And a Dyson bagless upright vacuum is clearance priced at just $227.
But that's not all. We also have a queen set of gel-infused memory foam bedding, only $333.
And a Frigidaire frost-free 13.6 cubic foot upright freezer is now $397.
So for these savings and more throughout the store,
head to one of Biters' 5 convenient locations for our huge pre-Labor Day sale and 0% interest for 1 year now through 5 p.m. Sunday. This is John.
And John saying hurry to Biters Home Center today.
See store for complete financing details.
The Exergen temporal scanner thermometer gives a fast, accurate temperature reading with just a gentle forehead scan and is used and recommended by more medical professionals everywhere. Here's what a real Exergen customer had to say.
This is a wonderful product. When I was in the hospital having my baby, the nurses used one to take my temperature, so I decided to get one. It's a fantastic product. I recommend to everyone.
Backed by over 50 published medical studies, more than any other thermometer, know you're getting the best. The Exergen temporal scanner thermometer.
Gastric bypass, no surgery.com. Roca Labs invented a natural formula that replaces the need for expensive and dangerous surgery. This gastric bypass, no surgery formula creates an immediate effect without surgery. Roca Labs formula is better, safer, and cheaper than gastric bypass surgery. Roca Labs has over 100,000 success videos on YouTube. Go to gastricbypassnosurgery.com.
Susquehanna Valley RV.
There's still plenty of summer left, plus fall to look forward to in making those important memories with family and friends in your Susquehanna Valley RV. We have a great selection of pre-enjoyed pop-ups, hybrids, Class A and C motorhomes, travel trailers, and fifth-wheel models with and without slide-outs. As our family grows at Susquehanna Valley RV, there's no better time than now to get camping. Financing is available on all our pre-owned inventory. Make memories you'll cherish for years to come with late summer fall camping. Susquehanna Valley RV on Route 11, Bloomsburg.
We'll make it easy to find adventure. So get up, get out, and get away. There's an exciting new world waiting for you at Susquehanna Valley RV. A camper's best friend.
Get the speed, power, and bandwidth you need to connect all your devices with wideband 100 high-speed internet from Service Electric Cablevision. Perfect for your family or home office. You'll be blown away as you simultaneously stream shows and movies, download music, play online games. The possibilities are limitless. And for the biggest savings, bundle wideband 100 with TV or phone service. Visit SECV.com today for unrivaled speed and savings. Service not available in all areas. Visit SECV.com for more details.
Yeah, last day of summer as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much, Kevin Herr. A very appropriate bumper music. Thanks for all your help today. Very much appreciated. Greatest engineer the world has ever known. About to work a 14-hour day. He'll be doing the play-by-play for Shikellamy. All the other football games. He'll be on all the other stations tonight, and all the .coms will be fired up tomorrow morning on WKOK. We got the Penn State football game on WKOK. Eagle 107 is the Bucknell game. I am Mark Lawrence. Thank you for joining us. Ben Reichley across the table.
You
want the emails? Okay. Ben's contention.
No, let's leave these. Well, the part here about
it'll be a week till you're back.
Yeah, this emailer. I didn't say the contention of the teacher was saved by the unions. If you're a union teacher, you can get representation.
Let me read it. It's this is from the second smartest woman in the world, so you're up against
who should listen.
Intellect here. It says, Ben's contention that the teacher was saved by the teachers union is ridiculous.
And that wasn't that. If you're a member of the teacher union, you can look at getting legal representation depending on the scenario and the situation. And we don't know where the crime took place.
So you have no idea if she was represented by
No,
the union or not.
he could be, and now he's a former teacher.
Well, he could be. It could be from the moon, but we don't know.
No, if he was a teacher and you're a member of the teachers union, you can get representation in certain situations,
including sexually assaulting students. The union will stand up for you?
It has happened in other places. I believe Michigan has one. And the rest of the email here, I think
we'll have
she
to
gets
get to
confused
it later.
with the caller.
Chris's call, yeah.
And we didn't get to the media bias, but we certainly has that. And Burger King, we didn't get to that, which is very confusing with some people thinking that it's
We have a lot to talk about a week from today. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everybody, for listening to On the Mark. This is WKOK Sunbury, 10 a.m.